Well, welcome back, and now we're going to hear the contribution of Mr. Mark Francois, Member of Parliament for Raleigh and Wickford. This is the Westminster Hall debate carried out yesterday, Monday the 18th of December, in response to e-petition 365940 relating to the amendments for the 2005 International Health Regulations being proposed by the World Health Organization. So thank you very much, Mr. Francois. Thank you for watching.
I've received quite a few emails from my own constituents on this issue. I've also had strong personal representations from Councillor Ian Ward, who ably represents the Lodge Ward on Rochford District Council, who feels very strongly, take my word for it, Dame Maria, about all of this, and has made his views very clear to me as his MP. For the record, I'm all for better sharing of information and intelligence between nations to try and prevent the spread of any future pandemic. Would that the Chinese had done more quickly to warn the rest of the world what was coming from Wuhan. I reluctantly accepted the need for an initial lockdown, but as time wore on, I confess I became increasingly uneasy at the effects of the lockdown, not just economically, but socially, not least in terms of people's mental health. And we're still seeing some of those effects playing out, I believe, in our schools today. That is what my head teachers tell me when I visit their schools. But I'm now concerned about the potential amendments to the International Health Regulations, the IHR, in future, being brought about at the behest of the World Health Organization, the WHO. That is not least because they will be given extremely strong powers in any future pandemic. As one constituent put it to me in their email, and I quote, "Almost no one who was informed believes the WHO performed anything other than appallingly during COVID with disastrous results. Yet there seems no attempt to reform this unelected, unaccountable organisation which British taxpayers fund in the millions. On the contrary, the drive is evident to give the totally undemocratic WHO ever more power, ever more of our money, and ever less scrutiny." That was her opinion, but I think she has a point. I understand, Dame Maria, that on the 31st of May 2022, the delegates of the WHO formally adopted 5 new amendments to the International Health Regulations 2005. I further understand that these amendments come into force under international law for all member states within 24 months, i.e. the 31st of May 2024, unless those member states choose proactively to opt out of them. Of the 5 new amendments, there's one which is particularly concerning that would severely compromise the ability of the public to lobby politicians to reject future amendments by reducing the time available under which they might come into force. This is an amendment to Article 59, which significantly reduces the time allowed for a country's leadership to reject an IHR amendment adopted at future World Health Assemblies from 18 months to 10 months. Moreover, there are around 300... forgive me, but the honourable gentleman spoke at some length, and perhaps he'd let some of the rest of us have a go. Amendments to the International Health Regulations are currently being negotiated and finalised, up to 300 of them, to be voted on in May 2024 at the 77th World Health Assembly. Among those amendments being negotiated, I understand are 1. Amendments to make WHO emergency guidance legally binding, currently they're only advisory, on member states. 2. Amendments which would empower the WHO Director General single-handedly to declare a public health emergency of international concern, a PHEIC, given this unelected, unaccountable individual unprecedented levels of power to dictate UK public health policy and to restrict fundamental freedoms.
Will he give way?
I will.
I'm very grateful. Isn't it even more extraordinary that that power would be given to that person, given I understand that the UK voted against him becoming the Director General of the World Health Organization in the first place, and he was actually China's man for the job. Does that not make it even more extraordinary that the UK would want him to have those powers?
It does, although some people who have been favoured by China have been doing very well lately. But I take my right honourable friend's point. Thirdly, there would be amendments to implement an international global health certification system, enabling nations to enforce travel restrictions using tools such as vaccine certificates, passenger locator forms and traveller health declarations, all tied potentially to a personal QR code. And fourthly, amendments seeking to increase censorship of dissenting voices by mandating systematic global collaboration to counter dissent to official governmental or WHO guidance. Taken together, the proposed amendments could empower the WHO to issue requirements for the UK to mandate highly restrictive measures such as lockdowns, masks, quarantines, travel restrictions, medication on individuals, including vaccination, once a PHEIC has been declared by the WHO itself. This is something we should all be very concerned about. We as parliamentarians are meant to be guardians of the country's liberty, and therefore we need to be very anxious about this. Damien, as you will know, I've been known to raise concerns about loss of our sovereignty in Parliament before. Clause 38 of the Withdrawal Act 2020 states that the will of Parliament is sovereign, and so it should remain. So my key question to the Minister, and I would be grateful, I've known him for years, he's a decent man, if he would take the trouble to answer this very specifically in his wind-up, otherwise I'll intervene on him. My key question is this: could these amendments even potentially allow the World Health Organization to put this country into lockdown without our approval, yes or no? Thank you, Damien.